Can you tell us your name?
My name is Giannis The Greek.
When were you born?
I was born in 1994.
What kind of basketball player are you?
I'm an all-around player. I can jump, I can shoot, I can pass the ball. I can do everything in the court. I started playing basketball 2008, 5 years.
What is your goal for your career?
I want to be NBA player.
With the 15th pick in the 2013 NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Giannis Antetokounmpo from Athens, Greece. He last played for Fil Atletikos in Greece.
Because he's going to need some strength, some development in terms of a player, but they've got a guy for the future. A lot of teams liked him. Who was going to take him first? Milwaukee at 15.
And Antetokounmpo was the guy who has no interest in being stashed, and given what we just talked about with the Bucks, they're not going to do that. They're going to have to put him in an NBA game, aren't they?
I studied him extensively on YouTube, and I thought he looked like a Greek Paul George. Now, he was going against an 8th grade CYO team, but I was still really impressed by some of the stuff he was doing. And he's got giant hands. He grew 3 inches in the last 12 months. Fran said if he was like a high school All-American, he would have been one of the top 5 guys coming into college. I like the pick.
You good, T-Minus? Niggas been counting me out. I'm counting my bullets, I'm loading my clips. I'm writing down names, I'm making a list. I'm checking it twice and I'm getting them hit. The real ones been dying, the fake ones is lit. The game is off balance, I'm back on my shit. The Bentley is dirty, my sneakers is dirty, but that's how I like it, you all on.
We got a whole lot of new money though. Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking, the hot box. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Cooking up dope in the crock pot. We came from nothing to something, nigga.
That's why I can't quit, just like LeBron, get my niggas more chips. Just put the rollie right back on my wrist. This watch came from Drizzy, he gave me a gift. Back when the rap game was praying like this. To act like two legends cannot coexist. But I never beef with a nigga for nothing. If I smoke a rapper, it's gonna be legit.
Yeah. Hot shots screaming down the Soto. 85 degrees in the middle of the night. Hot summers in Canoga.
DA got that dope.
Ice water turn Atlantic. Night calling in a phantom. Told them, hold it, don't you panic. Took an island, felt the mansion. Drop the roof, more expansion. Drive a coupe, you can stand it. Bitches undercover. I'm an ass and titty lover. Guess we all meant for each other. Now that all the dogs free, and we out in these streets. Can you do it? Can you pop it for me?
Pull up in a demon on guard. Looking like I still do fraud. Flying private jet with the rod. It's that Z shit, it's that Z shit. Pull up in a demon on guard. Looking like I still do fraud. Flying private jet with the rod.
So basically, we're going to be talking about the rise of Giannis and how he has impacted the NBA.
Yeah.
So basically, my opinion is he's still pretty young. He's like a rising star. Like he hasn't hit his prime yet. And he still has he's still building as a player.
So you think he's MVP this year?
I think he has a shot at it, yeah.
So I've always been I haven't been like someone who's loved Giannis from the beginning. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good player, but when I hear the comparisons to LeBron and stuff like that, that jumps out as me as too much. But I do see after the season, especially the step he's taken, someone who's a transcendent talent in the NBA and who will in the future be, I believe this season, possibly MVP and then MVP with years to come. I think the thing Giannis lacks for me is 3-point shooting, and you can argue he doesn't need it, but I think to take that next step, if he could shoot like even what LeBron does, 35% from three, he could become that transcendent player.
Yeah, because a lot of people just like pack in the paint and just wait for him to come in there. If he could create a shot, they'd have to start coming out on the 3-point line.
So, do you have an MVP pick so far?
I'd go with James Harden just off the amount of points he's been scoring. Like he averaged like 40 in the month of January.
Yeah. And he's averaging 36 right now. That was the only. So my MVP conversation right now has to be Harden and then Giannis, because you could argue Harden. The way I argue Harden is, right, he's averaging 36 points on the season, and the last person to do anything remotely close to that was Kobe in 2005. So the season he's having is definitely special. But then you have Giannis, who is averaging like something like 28 points, 6 assists. He's also a good passer. Blocks, like almost 1.5 blocks per game. He's doing it basically all around, and his team is the best number one team record in the NBA. So that's how I look at Giannis. I think it's really what you want to choose. You can argue that the Rockets, though, aren't quite there in terms of their record. They haven't been too great, even though
they've definitely improved though. Like another one that sticks out for me is Paul George. Like since the All-Star break, he's been tearing it up.
I think
before that.
The thing though with Harden and Giannis is Harden's usage rate by far. I don't know how much you know about analytics in the NBA. I just started like researching them kind of recently. Was that Harden has this ability where he gets the ball so often that, and his usage rate is so high in terms of either he's passing to the shot or shooting it himself, that if you look at their per 36 minutes, I don't think the spread in terms of points is actually that high. So if Giannis were to be on the ball and had the ball as much as Harden does, then I don't think the difference in points would be that great. So right now I'd actually choose Giannis as MVP.
Yeah, same. I was looking at some stats where it's like the amount of shots Harden takes, like a bunch of other stars could do that. Like KD was talking about how if he took 30 shots a game, he could average 40 points or something like that. And just he's taking all these shots. I mean, he kind of has to get his team a victory, but it's just he's taking all these shots. All these other stars could be recording these numbers too.
All right, so I have a question for you in terms of Giannis. When did you first think that Giannis could be a rising star? Because, I mean, a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon over the past couple seasons, including myself. Like, I didn't know much about him until 2-3 years ago. His first All-Star season is when I really learned about him. But where do you think his ceiling is, and what did you see initially from him?
Yeah, I didn't really follow him either until he became an All-Star, but I'd heard about him from other people, and I kind of looked into him, and he was like, he didn't have all this muscle, and he still had places to go. Like he's building up so much muscle, and he was like not the biggest guy, and he's still dominated. Like he could still get in the paint and score, but I haven't really followed him like throughout his whole career. It's just he caught my eye when he made his first All-Star appearance.
So do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think he's? I think he's a future Hall of Famer. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would.
I would say definitely a future Hall of Famer. I think one of his hardest things, or one of the things he's going to have to deal with in his career so much for me, is going to be winning that ring with the Golden State Dynasty, and then being in Milwaukee. He's going to have to try and attract more talent. I actually really do like the team they have right now, except for the experience. But if they were able to keep that core of guys together and add one more, like all-star type player, I think that's a championship team in my opinion. If Warriors break up, it's all depending on the Warriors for me.
once the Warriors, like, all their key players start getting older and they start, like, decreasing as a team, I think Giannis will have a chance.
Hmm. And then, like, before we started filming too, you mentioned to me about how young Giannis is. How do you think that, like, for me, his age being 24 is, like, insane because he has, like, with the NBA, stars are becoming more and more, like, they're having longer and longer careers, and he's yet to suffer, I guess, a major, major injury.
Yeah.
So I think if he remains healthy, we could see him doing this until he's like 30, 32, at the level he's playing right now, which would be insane.
Yeah. I
What?
just think
Yeah, go ahead.
he's so young and he still has more to build on, like you were saying, his 3-point shot. He can still work on it. He has time to do that. It's not like he's 30 and like 29, like Curry and Durant and all those other stars. He still has time to build.
Uh-huh. Also, I think an interesting part about him too is he's a great passer. Like, people don't realize this, but like he's very good passing when he drives to the lane. He can kick the ball out to other shooters around him, whether it's Chris Middleton or whoever's on the Bucks. But when he's in the lane, he's so tall that he can also see over players and make that great pass. And obviously, he's not parallel to LeBron in that area, but I would say he's getting closer and closer to that because you do see LeBron do that sometimes where he's so tall that he can see over the defense and then spray a pass into the corner.
Yeah, that's true. He has the length of like the centers, yet he can dominate in the paint. He's a amazing passer, and I just think once he gets his shot in there, he'll be unstoppable.
Yeah. What about okay, I know he's only 24, but in terms of all-time great players, right? Where do you think he'll be when we talk about at the end of his career? I know it's super hard to say now, and it's almost premature to ask this question, but like, where do you think he'll be? Because, I mean, with his ability and with his athleticism, he could go possibly top 10 of all time. I mean, do you think he could be better than Durant? Where do you see him?
I say he could be as good as Durant. Like, Durant obviously has the shot, he doesn't, and Giannis has the ability to finish at the rim, and KD doesn't. So I just think once he gets his shot down, he'll be up there. Obviously not as high as LeBron, because, yeah, LeBron's just LeBron. But he'll be up there for sure.
Yeah. I think what's also really key about him is he's great defensively as well right now. The effort he puts on the defensive end is crazy. And his height, I mean, just allows him to block shots. Like, he's in a similar player to KD, like not, I wouldn't say playing styles, but just with his height, he has that ability to dominate, and they do it in different ways. Because Giannis, for his size, is so explosive, whereas KD can just shoot over you. So I think that's really what makes these guys unique, and how I would compare them is just by their size and being able to shoot over, dribble, or like finish above the rim and that kind of thing.
Nikki on the track.
Yeah, baby.